Absolutely. So this is going to be a second chance tournament series semi-finals best of 5 between Jerimuno and iamturk. Jerimuno occupying the number 5 seed, if I'm not mistaken. iamturk the number 9. iamturk knocked out Fluntier in the last round, the number 1 seed in the tournament. Jerimuno, on the other hand, knocked out the number 4 seed, Age of Killer, in the quarterfinals. In the north of the map, we're going to have Jerimuno in the color blue. It's going to be a Japan mirror, so Japan being Jerimuno's pick, as well iamturk in the south. Japan as well. Like I said, Japan mirror.
Okay, so let's see. It's fortunately the resource distribution besides the mines isn't really as big of a deal since it's a Japan mirror, but everything appears to be okay. They both have
Absolutely.
2 mines and about the same amount of hunts, so
There's 2 mines in base, so those are not going to run out anytime soon. And then, of course, there's that safe, or relatively safe coin mine for both players spawning over
yeah.
there. So coin kind of isn't an issue. It's kind of hard to get map screwed as a fan. It is, I guess, possible in ways if like a hunt doesn't spawn. It just gives one player fewer options for where they can build their shrines, which kind of sucks. Like that can be kind of like missing a villager or a villager and a half.
Yeah, it's usually the mines though, because usually or often the way you try to shrine is you try to shrine from your opponent's side in. So, but regardless, it looks like it spawned evenly, so not a big deal.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I guess with that said, we should introduce the players. I sent you the match notes a little late, so I can work on Jerimuno first. Actually, I'll go. I'll speak on iamturk first. So iamturk, he's actually seed number 9, as I mentioned earlier, and he's a player from Turkey. He's currently ranked a PR35 Colonel with a max GP ELO of 2450. He's got a pretty diversive pool. I know that he likes to main France and Dutch, kind of those European civilizations, but he also uses India and Japan, as we're seeing here. He's pretty well versed with those 2 civilizations. I don't believe he's a China player or really cares for the native civilizations. So he likes his Europeans. He likes Japan and India. And speaking on his path to the semifinals of the second chance tournament, he actually made it to the round of 32 and only lost in the main tournament, that is, and only lost to Azamp after a 3-2 loss. A very, very, very close series that could have gone either way, but unfortunately getting knocked out by one of the strongest players, or one of the, just one of the most formidable, wild card players ever, Azamp. So you can't really blame him for being knocked out early in the second chance tournament, but his road in the second chance tournament, of course, the round of 64, he defeated Charlesh, the French Lightning, and then he also defeated Le Castet in the round of 32, round of 16, and Fluntier, the number 1 seed of the tournament, in the quarterfinals, and that was his path to. He's vying for that finals slot, the opportunity to get the badge, the famed King of the Trash Cans badge, which is the reward for winning the second chance tournament.
And if you don't mind, I'm going to interrupt you real quick because we're already seeing in this game a pretty big deviation in what these players have done. So what you normally do as Japan is you build a consulate, go Portuguese consulate, and then build a shrine. However, it was only a 200 wood start, and so iamturk decided to just skip Portuguese consulate and just build a shrine and not gather any extra wood in age 2. While Jerimuno did the kind of standard chop 107 wood, build your Portuguese consulate, and then build a shrine. So as a result of that, we are seeing iamturk age up about 10 to 15 seconds faster due to the fact that he didn't have to gather the extra 107 wood in age 1. And he is adding in a consulate now. So it's going to be interesting to see if he elects to go port consulate to get the 3 boats, or if he just goes straight to Japan consulate. And yeah, there's
also a massive contention on that 95 wood treasure, which is going to.
Oh no, Jerimuno got it. I thought Turk got it, but poor Sexy over here wasn't able to get it in time.
Yeah, that's big. That's basically a villager at this point, being able to convert that extra wood into a shrine, which has its own little gather rate. That's really big, especially since he was able to immediately place it down by these hunts.
Yeah. Although the only disadvantage of him going for that treasure was he had both of his explorers behind his base, and really you kind of want your explorers to be middle of the map shrining, not so much shrining behind your own base, because those shrines are safe, but ultimately they don't give you any map control, um, and you're not shrining in the middle or on your opponent's side, which is where you really want to be shrining. And also, iamturk did elect to go straight Japanese consulate, which says that he's going to be probably playing a little bit more aggressive, as he's already dropping a barracks, not even waiting for the 600 wood to come in before he drops it.
So seeing that Jerimuno got that treasure, I'm not sure if that was probably the impetus for why he chose to go with the more aggressive build order, but I can certainly expect maybe it was a part of his plan all along to just play a little bit more aggressive in the mirror. It's certainly not a bad playstyle, not kind of to Japan's strength. I know they, as a civilization, they try to go for the more boomy options more often than they go the aggressive options. But Jerimuno cheeky XD right there. Not expecting I Am Turk probably to go for that early Japanese console, get those Concha Yamabushi, a very high siege,
Yeah.
basically like a speedier pikeman. I'm not sure how
And
fast they are, but
Jerimuno's lost an
either way.
explorer, which is a pretty big deal. Um, because that's just one the explorer has 375 HP and a decent attack, so in fights it does quite well. And then obviously the shrining ability. We see Jerimuno literally has no shrines outside of like the third of the map that's close to his base. So he's gonna struggle to be able to shrine the map with just one explorer. And iamturk is playing a little more aggressive than you see. He's kind of doing. This is the way Japan mirrors used to play out. Was people would go Yumis, since Yumis are obviously better than Ashies. But when you do go Yumis, you're obviously very susceptible to cav, and you lose siege potential and speed, which both are pretty big deals.
Yeah, I think a primary reason we saw Yumi's kind of fall out of the metagame is that Ashigaros, once they close in, they pretty much have the same DPS. And yeah, that speed and also the siege, as you mentioned, but that speed I think is a really big factor. Having the 4.5 speed, just having that ability to, leverage your way across the map is really important in a Japan mirror where you're all around the map, sieging these shrines. We already saw 2 shrines fall down for Jerimuno just from these 5 pikemen. 5 pikemen still full health, no units on the field for Jerimuno yet.
Well,
No
he
stable
does
areas.
have these five Ashies, which it seemed like he was trying to go in for a raid, but then thought
Absolutely.
better of it and is now just losing them. Although, iamturk's gonna lose all of his Ashi or Yumis because his only anti-cav is these clubs, and they are very out of position. Although he did see those Nagis with the shrine, so I think he should pop Minutemen here, the Pike Minutemen, because otherwise, basically his whole army. Yep, and that's what he's doing. So otherwise, he just loses his whole army, and then a batch of Ashies coming out. So actually, iamturk's gonna be just fine here.
And not without losing a few Yumis, but only 2 going down there and getting some damage on the Naginata, so it's a fairly even trade. Also going to get some more pot shots on one of those Ashigaru, maybe being able to take it down. 1,
Yeah,
2.
it's
Oh,
dead.
yeah, it falls. So about an even trade.
Yeah, and Turk needs to. Okay, he just realized that he had those AFK. He needs to do something with those clubs. Preferably siege shrines, or maybe just bring them back with his main army as additional anti-cav. Because right now his only anti-cav is those 5 Ashies with those Yumis, and they're not going to do too much versus Jerimuno's mass.
So despite the more aggressive build order that we saw iamturk take in the early stages of Colonial, we can see that by the recalculated economic unit population, they're about at the same position. And in fact, iamturk has a score lead because he has more military units out on the field.
Yeah, and that's bad for Jerimuno because he even sent the 3 boats from Port Consulate, so that's 3 extra vills that he got that Turk wasn't able to get, and he's still not really up. and at the cost of his units having a little bit less attack. Turk's Ashies have 25 attack, and his have 24 attack, so it's really not that big of a deal. But in an exactly even fight, every little bit could matter. And also, it's worth mentioning that Turk is getting ready to age here. Well, Jerimuno is adding in another Rax to just mass more units. And the Wonder's about, yep, there, the Wonder just dropped for Turk. So if he can age successfully, Jerimuno's gonna be in a little bit of a rough spot.
An important thing is like having those aggressive, or not aggressive necessarily, but those shrines placed on your opponent's side of the map. I mean, those shrines took maybe like what, 60 seconds or 75 seconds for those Ashigaru to siege down. And then, of course, those Ashigaru, once they're sieged down, they're just in such an awkward part of the map. Of course, they're going to go siege another shrine, but they're not pressuring iamturk's base. And while he's aging up, this has granted him so much time just to safely gather in his base. Even though he's losing shrines, he's losing, you know, effectively like 200 or 300 wood from having lost those shrines, and he might get popped, but it's not a big deal because he has like this hunt in the back that he can also build on, so he's not really losing that much in terms of economy. He's like perfectly content as long as he's stalling Jerimuno. You know, once he gets up to the age 3 and has that tech advantage, he's going to be in a dominating position.
Although Jerimuno is also just about to click up, so he'll be, it looks like, probably about a minute and a half. Oh, he just clicked up, and he's aging with, it looks like, all eight bills. So he's not going to be much later than Turk, actually. And he does, since he sent 4 bills twice, and has more shrines, he does have a little bit of a better economy than Turk does. So we'll just have to see if Turk can make something happen with this little tech advantage that he's going to have for about a minute here. Although once again, Jerimuno's lost both of his scouts, so that's gonna, like, he's not gonna be able to reshrine this. He's not, basically any shrines on the map that Turk kills, he's not gonna be able to reshrine until he gets those back.
Yeah, precisely. Even, you know, like going up to age 3, they can provide such an important meat shield for your main military mass in a big engagement. And having lost those, not having the best management of them, that could play out big. I'm wondering where iamturk's explosive.
And this,
actually,
this is smart from Jerimuno. He's trying to catch any Yumi reinforcements, which is why you can see he spread his cav out. And unfortunately for him, the Yumis walked just past the cav. But I think he's gonna catch these right here. So
oh my god,
that was a nice play from him. I quite like that.
Yeah, that was some excellent unit positioning.
And
just a lot of forethought went into that.
Turk did send 7 bills first, which has now basically evened up the economic unit population. Although both players are popped, unfortunately. It's a real feels bad man in it as Japan to be popped. But they both just really this map doesn't have too many hunts relative to what Japan would like. So really they're probably just gonna have to start laying down shrines like in base just to be able to maintain population.
And, you know, despite iamturk aging up a little bit sooner than Jerimuno, he didn't really make the most of it. You know, he had a small window where he could have put on a little bit of pressure. Ooh, big engagement coming out here.
Yeah, and I think Turk's gonna do quite well in this because he's got a decent mass of Yumis, and Jerimuno shipped 2 flaming arrows, which honestly, flaming arrows in age 3 are a little bit underwhelming. They don't do the same damage as Falcons. Now, obviously, they're kind of like, in the Falc battle, they outrange Falcs, so they do well in the cannon versus cannon battle, but in terms of just killing infantry, they're not anywhere near as good as, like, Falcs or Organs.
Yeah, they do have less attack, and I'm not sure if they have less splash damage, but of course, having less attack kind of influences how much splash damage every unit nearby receives, so they just do less damage overall. Yeah, there was a little engagement there, but Turk was kind of surrounded, or not surrounded, but he had some nice cover in the trees, and his Yumis were in position, so Jerimuno didn't really want to engage there, despite having the flaming arrows out. Instead, just choosing to pull back, both players choosing to pull back. and continue to remass.
And Jerimuno is shipping flaming arrows again. Now, like I said, I'm not a big fan of doing that. Now, when you do get 4 of them, obviously they do double the damage, so it's a little bit better. And it's quite easy to just have Ashies run up and snipe them since they are relatively low HP, but since iamturk doesn't really have Ashies and is aging now to age 4, it might actually be a little bit tough for him to hold this. That was pretty ballsy from him, honestly, to try to go to age 4 without really any information of what Jerimuno was doing.
This is certainly very risky, especially with his barracks being out front. They are pretty much a liability to get sieged, and even once he gets to age 4, despite having, you know, the XP from the Shogunate, which is the age up bonus, he's not going to be able to upgrade his units to guard status, and that may influence just how, you know, effective his age 4 agent will be. Should the engagement come soon.
He does have another Rax over there, and I'm not. Oh, Jerimuno's going back because he's about to age. I think that's a mistake from him. I think he should be pushing now, because now Turk's gonna be age 4 first, just completely unpunished. Although we did see Turk get age 3 first unpunished, and that ended up being okay. But we'll see exactly what ends up happening here. I would also I'd like to see both players build a castle so that they can upgrade their flaming arrows to age 4. Because that age 4 flaming arrows are quite good, especially when you can ship 4 of them.
It's also really important to get the age 4 upgrade for the flaming arrows, just for the reason that it increases their damage against other artillery units. In age 3, they actually don't have a multiplier against other artillery. So you can imagine when you have like 4 flaming arrows, 8 flaming arrows out on the field, you want them to be doing more damage to your opponent's flaming arrows so that you can actually win those engagement and come out with some flaming arrows left over in that fight of your own.
And Turk shipping Shogun Tokugawa first, which I'm not a big fan of shipping him first because he's really nice. You know, he boosts all of your units' HP, which is quite good. And then he's got 2,000 HP himself with 200 attack. But I think 4 flaming arrows in this situation would be superior to Tokugawa. Normally you see Tokugawa being shipped second or third. Although he killed one of the flaming arrows for free, which is quite nice. And he's running up to try to kill the other 2, but he lost his daimyo, and Tokugawa's down to only 400 HP. So he needs to go back and wait for probably 4 flaming arrows to come in. And Jerimuno losing a flaming arrow here. Although also Jerimuno is upgrading his flaming arrows, so he does have a castle, and I don't think that Turk has a castle to upgrade his when they eventually come. So that basically guarantees that Jerimuno will win the Flaming Arrow War and probably win the game.
You can see the speed coming into mass effect here for the Ashigaru. Even though, you know, Yumis are kind of the counter unit, they're getting about even trades, but Jerimuno's going to have to be really careful with his Flaming Arrows here, especially with them coming after iamturk here.
Yeah, I think Jerimuno's going to win this fight. I say that, he just lost one of his Flaming Arrows for free. But once again, he still has honored flaming arrows, so they have more attack and more HP than Turk's just H3 flaming arrows. And Turk's up
there's
in
a bit of a
score.
difference, but I think a lot of that is, look at iamturk's food pile.
Oh yeah, I completely didn't notice that. Yeah, he's got 40 score in unspent food. So he probably, at this point, he just needs to move like 20 of his vills just straight to wood. Because, you know, I mean, it's nice having that resource bank, but it doesn't really do much for him just being banked. He really needs to try to turn that into units.
Certainly. So Jerimuno is still choosing to play it slow. I think iamturk has kind of edged his way in terms of economy. He's done a little bit better of a job of sieging down Jerimuno's shrines. We can see They're actually about on even shrine pop. Um,
But Jerimuno has a lot of his in base, not doing too much. So they when they're in base, they only gather like a third of what they gather when they've got hunts on them. And he's losing even more down here, although I'd like to see Turk use those clubs to attack the vills. And Turk now also is getting the H4 Flaming Arrow upgrade. So that's quite nice for him. And I think, though, the longer this game goes, the better it is for Turk, because Yumis are just better than Ashies in straight-up fighting.
and even iamturk has the tempo reforms upgrade for the shrines, which increases their gather rate by 300%. So not only is he ahead in terms of economic unit population, but he's got more upgraded units, or more upgraded economic upgrades, I should say.
And it is worth noting that while that 300% upgrade is really, really good, it is just 300% off of the base stats, which are like 0.15, not 300% off of their hunt upgraded stats. So it's super good, and it means that he's really more ahead in eco than it looks, but it's not quite as good as it sounds. And Jerimuno, he trained flaming arrows here, which is, I think, what he needed to do to win this game. And he's winning. His daimyo is affecting his flaming arrows. Well, Turk's daimyo is not. So that's not good. And Turk, he's also got his daimyo on Turk's flaming arrows, but, well, okay, I just completely called everything wrong about that fight. And and even though Jerimuno started off well, he didn't end quite so well and ended up losing all of his flaming arrows for not much and just kind of losing.
Yeah, there was so much going on in that engagement. You know, I saw a big blast of those three flaming arrows in the back, taking down so much of the Yumi mess. But even still, you know, iamturk was able to get his Shogun and his Yamabushis on the flaming arrows, get them exposed, and now with just basically, you know, you could kind of consider all of the flaming arrows for both players dead. Even after that, it would have been Ashigaru versus Yumi, and that's just something Jerimuno couldn't win. And with the score differential, Jerimuno kind of knows he's behind on eco, and there's not really a way for him to come back in mass, having already sent those 4 flaming arrow shipments, which are the best kind of comeback mechanism you have as Japan.
Yeah, I think his only comeback at that point would have been like a 10 Nagi pop. Because outside of that, I mean, like we said, Yumis just are better than Ashies, straight up fighting each other.
And so that's going to be game 1, going to iamturk in a best of 5 series. I think the next map is Gran Chaco. Yeah, I'm actually 100% sure it's Gran Chaco. And I think Jerimuno is going to get the opportunity to counterpick Civilization on that one.
Although I'm not quite sure that game was over, because if you look at the military pops at the end, they were still quite even. But Jerimuno definitely needed to not just keep on making Ashies into Yumis. He needed to either keep on making flaming arrows or add Nagis.
I think left in iamturk's civ pool, I know he really likes playing Dutch, and he really likes playing India on this map, so I'd expect one of those two to be his locked civilization. Expect from Jerimuno is potentially, you know, I know he likes Dutch, and I know he likes India, the same as iamturk. But whether or not he would want to mirror iamturk again, you know, they already played a Japan mirror. Would they go for a Dutch mirror? It doesn't really work like that.
Yeah.
So iamturk's going to pick India. He'd have to pick the India mirror if he doesn't want to, but, you know, he's at liberty to choose what he wants. iamturk can't go back on his India pick here. So, like I said, Jerimuno can do whatever he wants, but yeah, Dutch, India, those are his likely picks.
Yeah, and India is quite a nice pick. Well, really on any map. But it's quite a nice pick on this map. Oh, and why he's counterpicking India with Brit on Gran Chaco. I'm not a big fan of that. I think this is India favored, which you don't really want to happen when you're counterpicking. But we'll see. Maybe he's got some insane counter strategy in mind, and will just
I
wipe the
know
table.
a lot of people like to, or in the past, people have kind of considered this matchup to be even. But I think, going back to the first ESOC tournament where Black Star played H2O in the finals, I think the last game was on Painted Desert, Black Star's India versus H2O's British, and that ended up with Black Star winning the series, winning the entire series 5-4. But actually, no, Jerimuno gonna go with
Okay,
Aztec, which I think is a much.
I think it's better. I think India still probably should win, but I think Aztec. I think you give yourself a chance with Aztec, especially because if I've both watched Turk play and played against him quite a few times. He likes to go really, really greedy with India, like get out Imperial bureaucracy early, ship 300 export early, and I think if he could be susceptible to a hard rush, but we'll see what happens.
So this will be game 2 in a best-of-5 series as part of the Autumn 2018 Second Chance Tournament semifinals. Winner of this will move on to the final stage, vying for that opportunity to get the King of the Trash Cans badge on the forums. iamturk is leading this series 1-0. He had to lock his Indians in on this map, and Jerimuno got the opportunity to counterpick. He's going to be playing in the south of the map, this time as Aztec, color blue.
And
iamturk
let's
in
be
the
sure
color
the
red.
hunts. Let's be sure the hunts look all right.
Absolutely.
So India's got one big. They both got one big llama hunt, or not llamas, guanacos. And then I do think Turks' bird hunts are a little bit closer. But they do both have two bird hunts, and then Jerimuno's third and fourth hunts are actually much closer. But I think overall it probably is okay. What do you think?
I think this is alright as well.
Mine.
I will say that definitely iamturk's hunts are a little bit closer, but in terms of extending for those fourth, those fifth hunts, it's a bit better for a Jerimuno. And, I think both of these civs can kind of play aggressive, and given that both of these players have equal scouting opportunity, both have 2 scouting units in the, at least Aztec has 2 scouting units in the early game with the Warrior Priest. They can kind of send it around the map to scout out their hunts while the fire pit is being built. I think Jerimuno should recognize his hunts are a little bit far, so he should probably play this a little bit more aggressively rather than defensively, just because, bringing those hunts into the TC is a bit more difficult. Even still, he has good hunts. He can expand in any direction that he wants to grab one of those. And I think, like, say this one, that's probably hurtable to his TC, and this one is, excuse me, that one is safe as well.
Yeah, and I think the biggest deal is not that everything is exactly even, but rather that all the players have the same amount of hunts, and whether or not one's a little bit further than the other is not that big of a deal. Because people have really, really stressed about maintaining the randomness in the game. So, yeah, it looks fine. And it is Aztec getting a 70 wood treasure, which is nice. It'll help him get his war hunt up a little bit faster.
Certainly gonna much better lend itself to a more aggressive gameplay. There is a crate start, but even with that 70 wood treasure, Jerimuno would still need to gather another 80 wood if he wanted to build a market and get hunting dogs, which is just something Aztec doesn't really want to do because it would slow down any of their build orders by quite a bit.
Yep. Yep, and Turk did get 100 XP treasure, and then there's another one over here that I wonder if we'll see any player get. Oh, and Jerimuno did snare Turk's Explorer, again named Sexy. So we'll see. We'll see what goes down. Nice 2 houses. Oh, Turk built 2 houses, which is on EP. It's not as big of a deal since they only cost 50 wood, but I mean, that's just 50 more wood that he has to gather, and that house won't pay off until age 2, so... And Turk's trying, I can see he's trying to use the pull trick to get away, and he did.
Look at that! Yeah, but I don't think iamturk actually saw that 100 XP treasure, so Jerimuno having harassed that Explorer, I think he's kind of content having done that, gotten, like, it down to further than down... more than halfway HP.
And I just want to let it be known that I think the pull trick is bug abuse, and I don't think that it's an intended game feature. But we'll let that. We won't say anything more about that. And both players are aging up at a similar time. Jerimuno clicked up at about 310, and iamturk clicking up at about 320. Obviously, Jerimuno will be up substantially faster because he's aging fast, and India is going to be aging quite slow. But they're both going to have normal-ish age times. Turk's going to be a little bit later than normal, but I think it'll be okay. And we should see 700 wood out from Jerimuno, which he'll use to, if I had to guess, he's probably going to lay down a war hut somewhere in this area and be a little bit aggressive. That's normally the way this matchup plays out. But we'll see. Maybe he's got some... And right as I say that, look how many vills are on his fire pit. He's got...
Yeah, just looking at his distribution.
He just moved 8 vills onto his fire pit, which is not really what you normally do. Although I think he's dancing for another shipment. So I think as soon as he gets that shipment, he's gonna pull. Okay, maybe not. He shipped 3 war priests first, so he's just gonna try to max his fire pit ASAP.
Going for a full, I mean, there are kind of 2 different divergences you can do with an Aztec. Excuse me. What do you call it? An Aztec economic build. So this one, it actually makes a lot more sense on a no TP map because you want to expedite getting out those warrior priests so that you can later task them to experience, and by getting more experience sooner, having those warrior priests tasked out earlier and tasked to the experience points dance, you get those shipments out sooner, which are equivalent to a resource, which pays off in the lost villager seconds that you kind of lost in the early game, having to dance for these warrior priests. Normally on a TP map, you might see like just players going 5 villagers, 6 villagers, and then not dancing warrior priests with their villagers, just gathering resources and kind of playing it like that. But I think this warrior priest build that Jerimuno is doing is certainly viable.
Turk's got this scouted, so he knows that Jerimuno's not playing aggressive. So he either needs to now boom himself or push a little bit. And it looks like he is pushing a little bit, and if those units come into contact with these vills right here, which are going to build a war hut, that could be quite bad for Jerimuno. And Jerimuno he's basically got max warrior priests now, which is quite nice.
And we're only sitting at the 6-minute mark in the game, and iamturk does not have a single economic building. He doesn't have a market, doesn't have a consulate. So he was fully prepared, just to kind of commit to an age 2 defense. I think he could have done a better job of scouting and kind of been able to tell, like maybe having one of the elephants in Jerimuno's base, and he would have known that Jerimuno was actually going for a warrior priest.
His shipment is super late. He didn't get his first shipment until 6:25. So what that tells me is that he was shipping sepoy first, or a unit shipment first, and then once he scouted the fire pit and saw that Jerimuno was not playing aggressive, he canceled the unit shipment and shipped 4 in logging instead. Because obviously there's no need for 5 sepoy unless he was going to be aggressive himself. And he still has no market, which is a little bit worrying to me, because the market upgrades just help you scale so well. I mean, getting them, like, the later you get them, just the worse it gets.
So iamturk kind of just playing Ring Around the Rosie with his aggro fort and his units here. Not doing much. He kind of could have... It's just a matter of scouting. I just wish that iamturk were a bit more active with his explorers around the map and did some more things in regards to finding out what is Jerimuno doing, because he's seen no aggression for the first 7.5 minutes. Just now he's going to see 10 Mace Walton walk into his base, but he doesn't know the position of where the war hut is.
Nope, he doesn't know hardly anything. And the mace are quite nice, and it's also nice that he's got these coyotes. Those coyotes killed an elephant, and the elephants are the only thing that Turk has out right now that are really a threat to these Mace Halton. Although his auto consulate, so he can ship 3 Hus now. Which would obviously wreck the mace, but Jerimuno's now training pikemen. So I think that he is A-okay.
So Jerimuno's sitting on that experience stance. Going to convert that into military shipments, the 10 mace, the 9 mace. I might expect the next shipment to perhaps be 6 pikes, and with that he'll push in with his mace Walton. Try to, DPS down some of the Gurkhas, and while that's going on, his pikemen will siege the Agra. Effect.
Yeah, and Turk just now getting up a market, and just now getting his first market upgrade at 8.5 minutes into the game, which is really quite late. And if you look at the economic pot, Jerimuno is up, although it's a little bit deceptive because it counts warrior priests. Or wait, does it count warrior priests? No, it doesn't count warrior priests, I'm sorry. So never mind, it's not deceptive. So I guess the warrior priests are counted in military population. Yeah, they are. They're counted in military population.
Yeah, you're right. For 10 military unit population, so you can kind of see the charts at the top there. They're a little bit deflated for Jerimuno, or inflated, I should say, for Jerimuno. You could deflate them and get a more accurate reading of Jerimuno's actual military strength. But that said, the warrior priest can be tasked to an attack dance, which boosts the attack of all of Jerimuno's military units. So it is kind of an accurate read on what Jerimuno's military unit population actually is.
Yeah, and I feel like Turk's playing a little bit passive. Like we've mentioned, I'd like to see him at least poking out just a little bit, or trying to scout just a little bit with a few cav units, because right now he's just got, for all he knows, Jerimuno could be aging. He could, he could be going, well, really anything, and Turk just has no idea.
I think for the past 3 minutes, iamturk has not left his base with anything.
And Jerimuno just sent he just popped the big button, which is 3 coyotes. So I think that signals it's time for him to go, and I think we should be seeing attack dance here in a second. And I think Turk, I don't think he does not have export for the Ottoman consulate Minutemen. So that does suck a little bit for him. But also Jerimuno's not moving to attack dance, and I guess he's decided that he's going to go back rather than try to take that fight.
Being a little bit more tentative than I'd like for my tastes. I definitely think Jerimuno could have done well if he engaged there. The longer he waits, the more in favor of India it goes, as their units scale a little bit better. But even still, Jerimuno's not in the worst position. I'm kind of curious as to what he's trying to do by just, continuing to go with the contain. If he were, maybe planning for an age up, we can see he doesn't have any coin in the bank, so that's not what he's going to do. I would have preferred that, if he were going for the age up, that he pulled back. I think it would have made sense there, but since he's not, since he's just still gathering food and wood to make units with, he could have engaged there, and I think it would have done him really well.
The thing is, if we're looking at Turk's hunt situation, it's gonna get grim pretty quickly. He's got what's left of this hunt in the back, and then 3 berry bushes. And outside of that, he doesn't really have much. And Jerimuno once again forgetting to switch his fire pit to attack dance, which is quite bad because I think it's like 10% or something with the war priests. So it's like having 10% more units attacking, which is quite good, obviously. And it looks like Jerimuno is committing. Okay, and he did get attack dance, thank God. And I think I'm honestly not really sure what's gonna happen here. Turk does have his Sepoy's in-hand attacking the coyotes, which is quite good. And I think Turk's gonna hold just fine here, honestly. And yeah, Jerimuno going back. We can see the military unit population is now even, and since Jerimuno has 10 in warrior priests that aren't fighting, it's definitely in Turk's favor.
That was just not quite the right positioning for Jerimuno. I think a lot of his coyotes were kind of
Yeah,
caught.
the coyotes got caught in between the houses and didn't end up doing very much damage at all. The ones that did do damage were fighting melee mode Seboys. So I think we're gonna see Jerimuno's gonna struggle to hold Turk's push now.
Jerimuno has barely anything with which to kill these Gardner Hussars.
Yeah, and then there's 4 sours coming in from the back, and yeah, he deleted his units, and that's gonna be GG.
Yeah, Jerimuno a little bit salty there. He kind of knows he messed up. I think. Yeah, wow. So just deleting the Mace-Walton, he's gonna stay in it for a little longer.
I'm
Maybe he's just trying
to. He hasn't resigned, because normally you delete your units. That's like you delete them and then you out. But we'll see. He's laying down another war height here. But I mean, honestly, he's just not going to be able to hold. There's just too many units. He has no unit shipments to be able to reinforce with. Yeah, that's GG. And yeah, it was just not. I think he'd waited so long to push. I think he should have just tried to starve Turk out. Because right now we can see Turk's on berries and he's got to hunt outside of his base. So I think if he just waited for Turk to push him, he could have gotten better positioning with his coyotes and it may have gone a little bit better.
So that'll be game 2 going to iamturk as well, leading him 2-0 in this best of 5 series, which puts him on match point. And additionally, in the third game, going to be on Hudson Bay, Jerimuno's going to have to lock his civilization first. iamturk's actually going to get the opportunity to counter-pick his civilization.
Yeah. Okay, looks like we're good to join. So Hudson Bay, I bet Jerimuno's already selected India, so I'm sure that's what he's gonna go.
As far as iamturk's counter-pick on this map, I'm not quite sure. I know he's played like a great diversity of civilizations on this map already. So he's already used his Japan, can't use that. He's already used his India, can't use that. So he has to pick one of his European civilizations. I know he's played Spanish on Hudson Bay before, but I wouldn't expect him to choose that versus India. I might rather expect him to maybe go with Dutch or maybe his French. I don't know that those are necessarily the best picks. I think French would be a little bit better than Dutch on Hudson Bay, just because French kind of benefit from the trading posts a little bit more than Dutch does.
Yeah, I think he'll go Dutch because I think he feels comfortable in that matchup. So we'll see, but yeah, I'd be 99% sure it's either Dutch or French.
And you know, I meant to speak a bit on Jerimuno's pass. We already covered iamturk, but we should. Oh, okay, so they're greened up. Yep, Dutch is the counter pick. Yep. So, watch when you are. Yep, this will be game 3, best of 5 series, autumn 2018 second chance tournament. We have iamturk versus Jerimuno. iamturk leading the series 2-0, match point. If he wins this game, he wins the entire series and earns himself a spot in the finals. Right, left, right, left, right. 1, 2, 3. On the left of the map, we're going to have the west side, I should say. We're going to have Jerimuno as the India in the color blue. This was his locked civilization. And on the east side, on the right, we're going to have iamturk.
And I could be mistaken here, but it looks like Turk is missing a moose hunt, because I don't see an equivalent to that one for Turk. Or is it this one and it just spawned far away? Yeah, never mind. I think
like it's that one.
Yeah, I think
it seems like it's that. It spawned really far away, but you know, I think Turk still has a reasonable amount of hunt in his base.
Yeah, we can just you can just barely see the TC in that hunt in the same screen. So, like we said, that since that hunt is there, they both have it. I think that's probably a play on.
Yeah, it is. Do you want to notify the players? Just let, it's kind of imbalanced because I think Jerimuno is going to play aggressive no matter what. And,
yeah,
you know, letting iamturk know that
where's my pause button? I'll let him know.
It's also a thing where if we let the players know, it kind of clues. If we let the players know, and
Well,
iamturk
if we let them
chooses to
know.
stay in, kind of knows he should play. Yeah. Okay, he's okay
Yeah,
with it.
honestly, now that I did that, I think I shouldn't have, because if I'm Jerimuno now, I'm definitely playing aggressive now that I have that free information. Although he is scouting it now, so it's probably not that big of a deal. But
Precisely for that reason, it's kind of awkward. But it was iamturk's decision to stay in. We kind of gave him the choice to
yeah,
rehost, and he didn't do it. So the onus is
yeah,
now on him. So no reason to
exactly.
feel bad.
His responsibility now. And have either players, so neither players really gotten any great treasures so far. They both just gotten some kind of small fry treasures. Although Turk is looking to get his 60 wood treasure, which it's a nice treasure for India. I'm sorry, not Turk. Jerimuno is now playing India. It's a nice treasure for India. Just any wood you can gather is you can get on treasures in Age 1 is less wood you have to gather and a faster age time. So it's quite nice.
Yeah. While we're in this kind of discovery age mess around, I can kind of talk a little bit on Jerimuno's history. We already went over iamturk, but Jerimuno is also, he's a player from Austria. He's also a really strong player. He's ranked PR33 Lieutenant Colonel, not quite to iamturk's level, but he definitely is a strong player given his tournament history. Second place in last year's Second Chance tournament, autumn 2017. And then before that, in spring 2017, he also earned himself a semifinals position. I'm not sure who he lost to, but yeah, he's always done well in these second chance tournaments, and making it to the semifinals, even if he's down 2-0 in this series so far, you know, uh, to make it to the semifinals is a feat of its own, so you have to give him credit. And after all, India is actually his main civilization, alongside British. So I wouldn't be surprised to maybe see, despite iamturk having the initiative here and having that counter pick, I wouldn't be surprised if Jerimuno were able to take a win off here, off of iamturk here, and continue the series.
And one thing to point out is that iamturk is aged with 14 villagers, which is not really too abnormal. It's definitely a variation that's done semi-commonly. But in 1v1, you normally see 15 villagers. For the reason that it's hard to, with 14 villagers, your bank usually comes just a little bit late. And so you don't actually really benefit so much from aging up earlier.
Yeah, so normally when you go with the 15 villager age up, you're able to have that 800 food as soon as that last villager is out on the map, and you don't have any downtime with the TC. But when you're aging up with 14 villagers, on the other hand, the thing is that you'll have like 680 food, and you'll have to wait a little bit. So you'll idle the TC, but you'll still age up a little bit faster, 10 to 15 seconds, and that can really help in the early colonial defense if you're expecting an aggressive build order from your opponent. But this hurting from iamturk, what is he doing?
Turk actually, he aged up exactly 20 seconds earlier than he would have normally, so he didn't really idle from the TC. But we're seeing that his bank is not going to be any earlier than it would have been if he aged 15 bills. Although he must have gotten a lot of XP in transition because he does have a shipment. But I am worried about this right here. If Jerimuno does choose to play aggressive, it's going to be hard to defend. It's going to be hard to defend those villagers and really gather any food at all. Because he hasn't really done a good job hurting this hunt either. He kind of let it get away from him. So, or wait, no, actually, no, never mind. This hunt right here was the one that he herded from up top. So actually, he has done a good job there.
And still, iamturk's base position is just a little bit questionable. He's done a good job of herding in that elk hunt. He's been very proactive with it. I think every 12 or 15 seconds he's been herding it in, which is the optimal time. I mean, he's done a good job. He's got it under the TC now, but even still, these buildings are placed kind of awkwardly. There's a lot of space in between, and I think that's good for India's units when they choose to aggress. It gives these camels a lot of space where to move, and it might make iamturk's defensive positioning awkward.
It's also the Bills path weird, like when the buildings are like that, they can walk in like they can walk in weird weird paths and go like the wrong way around buildings, and then end up losing Bills because of that. And Jerimuno, he's going for like the classic Sampu consulate rush, where you just make a consulate, ship 300 export, 5 set boys, push with like 20 set boys and consulate, British consulate musketeers. Although I think that's going to kind of play into Turk's hands since he has started skirmishers.
Jerimuno's going to need to be very particular with how he pushes in. He's going to need both of these explorers back at his base so they can heal up. And it's going to be especially important how he manages those, because those are such excellent meat shields against the ranged infantry from iamturk.
Oh, and actually, I like this. Okay, never mind. I just lied. Jerimuno shipping sours and going auto consulate. So he's got the Hudson queue, and he's gonna push with the 4 sours and 3 Hus. And if we don't see 8 pikemen out from Turk, this could be we could see a early ending to this game. Because, oh no, he's pushing out with his skirms. He doesn't know about these cav, and the Minutemen I just don't think are going to be enough to really compete. Oh no, that was a clutch batch of pikes out from Turk. Although really, oh, and 600 wood came in. If that 600 wood had been pikemen, I think that he would have been just fine. But I think Jerimuno's going to clean up all of Turk's units. Although I don't think it'll be enough to actually end the game. But we'll see.
We'll definitely have to see. So many of the cavalry are still alive. Every single skirmisher dead. Only 1 pikeman coming out there. The Minutemen on low health. And iamturk has also lost a few villagers here. So he has no units on the map. Unit production facility in that barracks, but his base is completely surrounded by a variety of units. His town center fire is going to do a good job in repelling these sours, so Jerimuno is not going to want to stay in his base much longer, but so much damage has already been done that I think Jerimuno is completely content with how that engagement went.
Yeah, that was a good fight for Jerimuno. He killed 3 vills, he completely wiped out Turk's army. He knows that Turk is not going to be aging anytime soon, and it was just quite a decent engagement from him. I would like to see him adding Gurkhas now, though, instead of just going set boys. Although he just trained 5 set boys, is going in with 5 more, and he still does have 2 sours alive that are basically full HP. So it's going to be, I don't know if Turk's 5 skirms are really going to be able to do too much against these 20 Sepoy.
Certainly, if you can keep those sours kind of coasting around the TC, no, they're going straight for the base, so I would hope iamturk focuses down those sours, because those are the most important unit to Jerimuno's composition right now.
And they are going to get...
He's focusing them down.
And he kind of, with that 1 sour, he kind of forced the skirms to go towards the set boys. Although he did get out 5 more skirms. So I think this should signal retreat from Jerimuno. Although no, never mind. He's just going in, and Turk's losing 1 bill, probably another bill there. But at the same time, Jerimuno is losing a lot of set boys. So we'll see. And yeah, it looks like Jerimuno is being forced to retreat. Although we completely missed that he had a disable, and is now going to once again be able to clean up all these skirms with that reinforcing batch of sours.
Seeing 700 coin on the field, Jerimuno is feeling very confident. He doesn't have to worry about the 8 pikeman shipment coming out for iamturk, so he can just send these sours in here to clean house on these skirmishers. A few of them getting some damage by the villager hand attack, but even still, he's able to take down most of these skirmishers.
Yeah,
and,
it was a nice use of vills from Turk, but Turk's already lost 6 vills. He's going to lose a 7th here, And the 8th pikeman shipment has now come in to save him. And Jerimuno's wasn't really paying too much attention and lost basically 2 sours there for free. So not the end of the world, but I think this game's going. Jerimuno is kind of dictating the pace of this game, which is always good.
Especially with the foreign logging card coming in for him, basically India's 5 villager shipment, it's actually put him ahead in terms of economy right now. And iamturk is actually not to age 3. He's adding in a stable which will balance out his composition, but age 2 is not a battle he can win. He needs to age up if he wants to make something of this game, and despite being ahead in terms of score right now, that's not going to last very long with India's better age 2 scaling.
Yeah, and Jerimuno does have every single market upgrade except Imperial Bureaucracy. So he does, it's not like he's really been slacking on the eco either. Obviously you'd like to have Imperial Bureaucracy, but it is very, very good, but it is also quite expensive. So I don't really fault him too much for not having it yet. And I'm glad to see him, well, I say that, I would have been glad to see him mixing Gurkha earlier. Now that Turk has added a stable, I think he needs to kind of go back to Sepoy, and Turk shipping 3 Hus, 5 Hus probably about, yep, 5 Hus just popped, and Turk is going to be pushing in here. And one thing to notice is Jerimuno, okay, I thought he queued up Vils, but he'd actually queued up Hussars. So I think he will have enough units to block those Hussars just with his own cav. And I think he'll be alright here, just as long as he doesn't have some sort of massive mechanical failure. And yeah, Turk he saw the big cav mass. He knows that fighting under that aggro in this stable is not the greatest idea. There is the threat of auto-consummate men, which we know that Jerimuno isn't going to be able to ship, but Turk doesn't necessarily know that. So I think he's making the smart move to kind of go back.
Yeah, on the other hand, we have seen iamturk commit to this age 2 build order, sending the 3 Hus as well as continuing to train Hussars and skirmishers. So, he does have to make something of this at some point, and the longer he waits, the worse it's going to get for him, unless he is able to sneak in and age up. But, it's just, I think he was in a good position to push out there defensive tools for India that they can, pump out, with, of course, both of the unit shipments are still, that is the 4 Sour and the 5 Sepoy, so those can't be sent again. There's the 10 Tiger Claw, but that's not that great of a risk at this stage of the game.
And
still,
it's not
Jerimuno
even in deck, so it's not an option.
But I think, yeah, I would have liked to seen iamturk push out at that point and really done, just harass Jerimuno at the very least with the skirmishers, punching a bit. He did kill 2 villagers, but going back after that, I don't think it's the right call. And
I think the problem that we're going to see here is that because of the spawn of this hunt, spawning far away, where is Turk going to be getting his food from? He's got, let's see, 94 food on an animal in base, and where are his other vills that are hunting? And then he's got 231 food on a moose up top. And outside of that, that's literally all the food he has. And so he's getting ready to queue the age up, but the problem is he's just, even once he gets age 3, oh, and I'm sorry, there is one more 300 food moose up there. Once those 2 mooses run out, he's just going to really, really struggle to get units out. Now, the saving grace is that Reuters only costs 30 food, but still, it's going to be hard to mass.
Absolutely. The only resources he has left is that 2,000 coin mine up to the north in trees. That's it. He has nothing else. So if he wants more food, he either has to win engagement and be able to push out on the map, in a safe way, which, judging by the military just the general gameplay of the game so far, we can see units in iamturk's base as he's aging up. That kind of game plan is going to be difficult. Option is the sea, and that's just too slow.
And if you look, he can't even gather on that moose with as many vills as he'd like because of that tree blocking. the trees blocking the pathing. So really, he just has no way of getting food. Wait, Jerimuno just resigned. What? I'm not sure. I'm not sure why he resigned there. Honestly,
Yeah,
I think this game. I think that Jerimuno had won, but I don't
yeah,
think that Turk would have been able to
I don't think.
break Jerimuno's presence in the middle. But
I don't think Jerimuno was down for the count there, but I think, seeing the score difference and seeing him click up to age 3, that was kind of, he wasn't very confident and back out of that instead of engaging. It was just kind of, a snap call, and I think he's going to regret it later.
yeah, it was not really like it wasn't what I would call a rage quit, but I think he also thought he's down 2-0. Um, I think he felt like maybe even if he did win this game, he maybe didn't have that high of a chance of winning the whole series. So it's just kind of instead of never mind. I won't make that analogy. But that even well
It is
anyway, even if he did win this game, he wouldn't be able to win the series. So
it is difficult to make the reverse sweep, but even still, I think iamturk would have been forced to lock civilization first in the next map, and Jerimuno would be freed up to, he has every civilization he can play at his disposal. The civ's reset. So I think he would have been in a fine position, and if he just stayed in this game and, at least
took the
last
fight. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It wasn't over at that point. With all your units out, you don't know whether or not, iamturk makes a big micromanagement mistake and he just Z moves his skirmishers into all your sours. That's something that could happen. It's not over. Jerimuno should have just played it out, and even if he loses, he lost all his units. Now he knows for sure that he
Yep.
did lose. Mistake from Jerimuno here.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, even if you look at the score, he was only down 10 score, and 22 of Turk's scores from aging. So, interesting decision from him, but regardless,
Absolutely.
Turk does
Yeah,
take
we
the
do have to
series.
iamturk. He's going to be moving on to his first second chance tournament finals. I think his previous best run in a second chance tournament was actually the round of 16. So this is a vast improvement from his last showing.